start? I think EDL didn't start. Okay, this is strange. Okay, I think we're gonna have to talk to them on the race time. I don't know where the race time is. Seems a little bit... Okay, I guess I'll just take this time to do runner introductions. I think they're gonna end up restarting. So, anyway, we have EDL vs Glan. These are the grand finals. The very end. It's been an amazing tournament so far. I'm really happy with how it's developed. These two runners have worked really hard, and they've improved a ton with this category. Alright. So...
Hey, Lime.
Hello.
So, we're gonna redo the race.
Yeah, sounds good.
By just opening a new race room. Happens to the best of us.
Right.
So let me quickly get that in order. Alright, and we should be good to go.
Do I need a new link for the
No, you
for
don't.
watching the... Okay.
If you don't see both, then just give it a refresh, but that's the only thing.
Okay. I'll refresh right now. Okay, it's good now.
Alright, enjoy.
Alright. Looks like we're starting. Well, hello. My name is Lime. I'm your commentator today for this ZSR race. I know it was a little bit of a shaky start a few minutes ago. We should get going any second now, though. But yeah, today we have Glan and EDL, two absolutely amazing glitchless runners. It's been super cool to see their progress with this run. Both runners are, I don't know, they're just absolutely amazing to watch. And with Glan too, I mean, it was pretty recent that he had always been doing runs, but recently, maybe a few months ago when he made the switch over to digital, he started really grinding out this category and just progressively getting better and better times, and that was really cool to see. And EDL has always been playing this game. EDL is super amazing. But yeah, looks like we're getting started, so got our countdown going. Best of luck to both the runners. Yeah, this will be cool. 2, 1, go. Alright, so we're gonna start off just in the house. I mean, if you haven't been here previously, I guess I'll do some introductions. We play in German because it has the fewest text boxes. All text boxes are insta-scroll. So normally in like a Zelda game, an older one at least, you might pick like Japanese or something, because it usually has the fewest characters per text box, and so it ends up scrolling a lot faster as well. With a game like this, all the text boxes pop up instantly when you press the B button, so it's overall better to use German because it just has the fewest text boxes overall. But yeah, so classic Link's Awakening gameplay for the first little bit. We're gonna go down and get their sword. Definitely necessary to completing the run. Definitely gonna need to grab the sword. Go through our little owl cutscene. There are quite a few owl cutscenes. Glitchless sees the most, obviously. But yeah. Both runners now have the sword. It's gonna be pretty synced up for the beginning here. I'm not sure if their kill routes are gonna be different. I don't know if any of them try to grab extra kills at the beginning. But yeah, they might not. So that's one thing that's worth mentioning, is we're likely going to see some deviation of strats as the run progresses. I mean, actually, you could see right there, Glan went around the bushes while EDL opted to slash through. I'm pretty sure it's a tiny bit faster to slash through, but I'm not sure if there have been any exact timings on that. It does look like EDL has a little bit of a lead, so that might be indicative of it saving some time. But yeah, what's really unique about Link's Awakening is they have these little power-ups, like the Piece of Power or the Guardian Acorn. And if you've played this game before, you almost certainly have encountered them at least a few times. So it's important to mention that these items are, well, one of the items is actually really, really important to our speedrun, and that is the Piece of Power. The Piece of Power gives you a +1 on your damage for a short amount of time, and that is very useful for us for defeating certain mini-bosses and certain bosses. We're going to be using it in Cantaloupe Castle, and we'll be using it in Dungeon 5 to deal with the Cantaloupe Castle boss, Ball and Chain, and to deal with Dungeon 5's boss, Slime Eel. Slime Eel is very notorious for being very luck-based. He has like 4 holes he can pop out of. And if you're not doing the most optimal strat, then you can get pretty unlucky. The optimal strat lets you get to 3 of the holes at any time. But obviously, if Slime Eel still chooses to pop out in the top right hole, I think it is, over and over again, then you end up getting pretty, you might feel a little bit sad, to say the least. Now actually, EDL had a little bit of a hiccup, a little bit unlucky as well with the Moblin over there, so Glan was able to make up some time. Early on in the game, I mean, I imagine with this race between these two runners, it might end up being a battle of wills. If they're both playing really, really well today, we might end up seeing a race based on just how good their movement is. Usually races don't end up like that, you know. There are little mistakes that are easy to make in a no-reset run. Notably dying. Dying is a big chunk of time loss in Glitchless. Depending on where you die, you can lose a ton of time. I think the quickest death you can have is like 14 seconds-ish. But if you die in like a dungeon, it's really not fun, because dying in a dungeon means you gotta go all the way back to the start. But yeah, they're just gonna take care of Terran. Give him some powder. But yeah, it is actually pretty interesting to see. They both actually do pretty different movements for the beginning of the game that I never really noticed. Yes, so we pick German because it has the fewest text boxes. Each text box instantly pops up when you press B. And so German just has the fewest text boxes overall, so it's the fastest for us. But yeah, so now that they've got the Dungeon 1 key, they're gonna head over to Dungeon 1. Most of this game is pretty linear. Oh, well, first they have some chores to do. My mistake, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. First they have to do the trendy game. If you don't know the trendy game, it's a little mini game where you get to start off your trade quest by catching this Yoshi doll. It's very important for Glitchless because you have to complete the trade quest up to a certain point. We don't have to do all of the trade quests because we do RNG manipulation for the egg, so we don't actually need the magnifying lens to read the book. But we still need to trade up to the stick, because the stick you get after the monkeys build a bridge to Cantaloupe Castle, and we need to get into Cantaloupe Castle so that we can get the Dungeon 3 key. But both runners got first try Yoshi doll. Yoshi doll can be a really, really big time sink if you mess up, or if you even get really unlucky. But both runners got through it first try, which is very, very good. Makes this much closer. It loses about like 22 to like 24 seconds, maybe even way more if you mess up in a certain way to mess up there. So you really don't want to do it, especially in a category like this where you're trying to shave off as many seconds as possible. But yeah, so they're just going to do the basic beginning steps of the trade quest here. You'll notice Glan faced backwards. It's a little bit of an issue with the Nintendo Switch Pro controller. It's flick back, and flick back is sort of a big curse for all of us Link's Awakening players. Because when playing this game, flickback is sometimes not a super big issue with other Nintendo Switch games with the Pro Controller. But with this game, it's pretty sensitive to input, so if you flick your stick to the right, it actually goes a tiny, tiny bit to the left upon returning sometimes, if you go hard enough. And, yeah, that can cause you to just turn around, and that is not very fun for when you're doing a speedrun, because sometimes you need to be facing a certain way. Alright, so EDL is the first into Dungeon 1. Gonna be passing, so EDL was able to get the pass on the first gel. Glan had to kill it, because you basically have like a 50-50 of whether you can pass that little guy with killing him or not. Because if the gel is like, if it's aggressive, if it's aggro to you, then you have to kill it, because it'll jump at you while you're trying to pass around it. And it looks like the two runners are really, really close now. Glan's actually opting for a bit of a slower path, so he lost a little bit of time in that room to EDL, but they were pretty synced upon entering. Alright. Both runners get a pretty good room here. But yeah, Glitchless, it's... Oh wow, they got synced up again. It looks like Glan had a better room there. But Glan wasn't able to get the quick kill on that Goomba there, so Glan's gonna end up losing 10 frames. This is actually really cool, that they're exactly tied. You don't get that pretty often. Glan got the boost, but it looks like Glan's still behind by a little bit. Yeah, that's a little thing in this dungeon, little optimization, is the spike boosts. Oh, Glan messing up his menuing. Not good. Gonna lose a couple seconds. Yeah, lost maybe a second and a half or something. But yeah, that's the really cool thing about Glitchless, is it's probably the most, I don't know, any percent's pretty optimized at this point. Regular any percent. But the run is pretty optimized overall, so it ends up being really important how each individual room goes, and how it all compiles into your, fastest run. But Dungeon 1's a pretty simple dungeon. There's not too much that can go wrong here, besides the final boss. Moldorm can be a bit of a troll dorm. And if you get knocked down into the pit, you have to start the fight over again. Or you can even just die to Moldorm, which has happened to me. If he follows a certain pattern where he gets you stuck into like a part of the room, you can kind of just get like stunned, and he'll keep bouncing and waving into you. Looks like both runners get the quick kill here. Very good. That's Rolling Bones, funny little purple guy. Okay, so EDL actually does do the spike boost in the pre-boss room, but Glan chooses not to do it. So they both did, I think, one spike boost, but in different locations. Alright, so I think EDL is counting, counting based on the jumps. Oh, EDL getting a little bit unlucky there. Yeah, EDL lost a bunch of time because Moldorm was just stuck up against the bottom there and really guarding its tail. I think both runners are going to grab the heart. So in Glitchless, there are usually at World Record grabs 2 heart containers. So certain runners are going to opt to grab certain heart containers or not. I think Glan usually grabs 6. I think EDL usually gets 5. In a race like this, there are definitely more benefits to grabbing 6 as well. Just a little bit of extra safety. But yeah, it's pretty important. 5 hearts seems to be about the ideal, because there are certain enemies that end up doing quite a bit of damage later in the game, and you usually want to be able to take like 2 hits or so and be able to live stuff. And you also need some hearts by the end of the game for Nightmare, because you need to take at least 1 heart of damage if you're doing the fastest possible strategy on Nightmare. But yeah, so both runners are going to go down to the beach. They're not going to quite have a beach party yet. They both actually got the little optimized damage boost up the Octorok. That was pretty cool to see. But yeah, they're just going to continue their trade quest here. Get to talk to the best NPC in the game. Absolutely beautiful. Alright, so they get their bananas. Now, it's pretty obvious, who do the bananas go to? I wonder. Mr. Lime Films was talking about monkeys earlier. I wonder if the monkeys are gonna eat those bananas. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. EDL actually gets another Octorok boost. I wonder if that one's faster as well. I haven't seen that one before. That's pretty cool. But yeah, very close race so far. You'll love to see it. If any of these runners makes any really big mistake at all, it could potentially change the fate of the run for both of them. So we're going to hope that they play their absolute best. One thing that could happen mainly in... Oh, wow. Yeah, EDL actually gets a lot of damage boosts on this split. Another. This is really cool to watch. I haven't seen these before. I think she was trying to go for one more there, but ended up missing it. It is a little bit risky to go for all those damage boosts, because as you can see, EDL is only at 1 heart. But in this game, when you're at 1 heart, you get a boosted chance of enemies or grass dropping hearts. You can see there was a heart immediately after she got to 3. Or, I mean, got to 1. Lost 3. Alright. You chose a great race. This is the grand finals of the Glitchless tournament. It looks like Glan got the 1 cycle. I think EDL should get it too. No, EDL misses it. Okay, so that's what I was going to bring up, actually. that is the main thing that can go wrong on this split. So that's going to place Glan quite a bit ahead of EDL here. It's not the worst possible mistake you can make, obviously. But yeah, it's going to lose EDL some time here. So Glan is quite a few seconds ahead now. Yeah, about about 9 seconds ahead now. We'll see once they enter the dungeon for sure. But yeah, 9-second deficit is not exactly what you want to see, but it can certainly be made up. This is still a very close race. See if EDL can make a comeback. Another damage boost. That is great. I think EDL must just find any opportunity to do it and do it. It's really neat. I've been a little bit out of the scene for a while, so cool to see that there's been a bunch of new stuff. Alright, so Glan enters at 16:04, and EDL will be entering at 16:13, it looked like. Alright. So Dungeon 2 is pretty straightforward. You do it very normally. There are specific keys we grab in order to do it as fast as possible. There are extra keys in this dungeon, and that's a little bit of a common theme with this game. Certain areas, certain dungeons will just have extra keys that we end up avoiding. The room Glan just passed through that EDL is going into, with the switch has a key, but we don't grab it. I think any percent no Hinox Orb actually grabs it, because there are multiple ways to skip the boss in this dungeon. With Hinox Warps, you can skip basically the whole dungeon right when you get into the Hinox room, and in any percent no Hinox Warp, there is Genie Skip, where you just get Genie into a certain position and he just pushes you through the door. You do a little bit of door clipping. Pretty cool. But yeah, Glan's gonna enter the Hinox room, but we're not doing any Hinox Warps today. Just gonna kill the Hinox. See if Glan can get a quick kill here. Oh, Glan gets grabbed. That may actually turn the tide a little bit. Alright, yeah. They're much closer now. Yeah, that's the thing about Glitchless. I mean, mistakes you make can really... Any little mistake can provide an advantage to the opponent. So yeah, EDL's caught up quite a bit now. It's evening out much more again. Alright, this room's pretty simple. Just jump over, powder, kill. Need to light up the room in order to kill the boos. Actually, if you light up the room, the boos, so they start to run away from you, and you can actually just let them run away off the screen. Obviously, it's like way slower, but eventually they'll just leave the room and you get a you don't have to kill them. So if you're doing like a pacifist playthrough or something. Oh, they are really, really close now. Okay. Looked like Glan messed up maybe a sword slash there. EDL opting for a bit of a different block throw here. Yeah, Glan did, I think Glan did the strat that's better with really good luck, which is what Glan got there. And I think EDL did the strat that's better on average. I don't know, I think it's usually better to do what Glan does there, but I'm not sure. Oh no, EDL missing a bunch of pots. The Pulse voice can really, really troll sometimes. Now, in terms of health, it looks like they've pretty much swapped. Glan is now at low health, and EDL's at full. But they're gonna head right into the Genie room. So, a little bit of a trick. I mean, it's not really a trick, but you can just walk up ladders with pots. I think most people who play casual just don't notice that. instead opting to grab for the pots that are up high and then walking down. But yeah, Genie is a really, really boring fight. It's super easy, but you just end up waiting most of the time. I'm glad you think this is kind of cool. I think this is very cool. This category is a lot of fun. Actually, okay, Glan ended up taking a half a heart from the fireball. A little bit of a hiccup there. Glan should be fine, but if Glan takes a hit from the Genie itself, Glan could be dead, which you definitely don't want to see. A death in Dungeon 2 loses a lot of time. Not sure exactly how much, but I know it's quite a big chunk. So, Glan's gonna have to play very carefully on the second phase here. But yeah, Genie has two phases. The first phase, where you're just mostly waiting, and then you throw his pot at the wall. And then the second phase, where you're mostly waiting, and then you slash him with your sword. Alright, let's see how this goes for Glan. I'm a little bit concerned about his health, but I'm sure he can pull through here. Okay. First hit down. Okay, there we go. Good fight for Glan. Glan actually got the same position twice, which is very cool. And both runners got the 2 cycle there, which is good as well. The worst, you can get like, I mean, potentially infinite cycles, but usually if you mess up a little bit, you'll get like a 3 cycle, which is not super fun. But yeah, both runners are done with Dungeon 2 now. And they both opted to grab the Dungeon 2 heart container. They might choose to also grab the Dungeon 3 heart container. We'll see. Well, the first 3 dungeons have the quickest hearts, I'm pretty sure. And then the other ones start to get pretty slow, because the hearts spawn in wacky positions. I think the Dungeon 5 one is pretty quick too, but at that point, you also don't need it. Dungeon 6 one can be okay, but it can also just spawn in like a really strange spot. Glan getting really trolled by the Borderlands there. They're gonna pass Dampe. They're not doing 100%, sadly. Best category. But yeah, they're gonna head back down to Mabe Village and do a couple more chores. They need to go to the shop and return some videotapes. So, actually, they just need to steal. As any good Samaritan would do, they need to steal from the shop. But first, they're going to return Bow Wow. And that's the chore element. If you try to steal before returning Bow Wow, you will end up getting blocked by Bow Wow upon trying to re-enter the shop, because you have to enter the shop like 3 times, I think, total. Or, no, maybe it's only 2. I think it's only 2. But yeah, they have to steal both the shovel and the bow, which is important because both the shovel and the bow cost a lot of money. Oh, and they also have to buy bombs. I forgot about that. The bombs are also very important for the run. They end up buying 30 so that they can last until about dungeon... I think around dungeon 6 is... Or no, dungeon 4, you can get a refill. Yeah, so dungeon 4 they get 10 bombs, and then dungeon 6 is where you get most of your bombs for the rest of the run. But yeah, so at first they steal the shovel, and then they go for the bow. Stealing is really, really simple. You just walk down and do a little diagonal movement. If they were to mess it up, it would lose them some time. It wouldn't be too bad, but I'm glad neither of them did. So they're actually going to carry the rock, because it takes frames to throw the rock, but if you just walk up onto the warp, then you end up... the rock just disappears, so you don't have to throw the rock. But yeah, the bombs and the arrows are really, really important. Bomb arrows are pretty unique to this game. There are other Zelda games that have them, but this was the first introduction of bomb arrows. Well, the Game Boy version, obviously, was the first introduction of bomb arrows, and it's, you know, a combination of bombs and arrows on your menu select. And if you press both the buttons at not the exact same time, you can actually do them like a little bit disjointed, and still get a bomb arrow, which we take advantage of in Dungeon 8 and maybe another dungeon, but I'm not too sure. But in Dungeon 8, it's key to do the disjointed bomb arrows because it ends up saving a menu. It's pretty neat because you basically you have your feather and like your, I think, arrows equipped. Yeah, you have your feather and then your arrows equipped. And so you shoot an arrow, then you open your menu, select bombs, and then you press bombs as soon as you close your menu, and then it should still get you a bomb arrow, and it's pretty neat to see. And then you do it again. You do it twice in a row in Dungeon 8, and it's pretty sick. Now, Cantaloupe Castle is a pretty tough segment. There are a couple areas where you can mess up really hard. With enough practice, it becomes basically just routine. But, I mean, they already cast the crow, but if they were to shoot the crow in the wrong spot, the golden leaf could have landed on the wall, which means they would have had to reload the area. So, Glan gets the piece of power. EDL should be getting it too. It looks like they got like the same exact amount of kills. I think EDL had one less kill total. So EDL got the piece of power a little bit later, but that's fine. But yeah, they both have it for Cantaloupe Castle. It's much easier to get the piece of power for Cantaloupe Castle than for Dungeon 5. But yeah, this piece of power is going to increase their movement speed, which is going to help out. The increased movement speed doesn't actually save time. I think the calculation was that if you get piece of power, you still lose like 0.2 seconds, even if you're walking the entire time you have it. Like, the piece of power mainly helps with the ball and chain mini boss here. It makes it very, very quick, much quicker than normal. And it also makes it way easier, so you're taking less damage as well. So Glan's the first into the ball and chain room. I think he did that little slash right off the bat to help with the setup there. EDL doesn't go for that. EDL just kills the ball and chain right away, which I think will end up saving EDL some time. And now they're going to go and kill Mad Bomber, who will give them their last golden move. Bomb arrows are optimal here. Wow, Glan got a double spawn. Pretty cool. Oh, EDL is actually opting to save a bomb arrow here by just slashing for the last hit. Ended up getting decently lucky, not super lucky, and had to miss a cycle there because the Mad Bomber spawned in the middle and she didn't ever spin slash charge. Or, well, I don't know. I think EDL maybe could have killed there. Right, because EDL only needed one more damage to kill. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. The middle spot, like, when the Mad Bomber's not holding a bomb, it's like a fake out, so the Mad Bomber can actually disappear. But I think with really tight timing, you can kill with sword. But that's the main benefit to using bomb arrows, is it's much easier to kill him when he does a fake out. But it also depends on where EDL is standing in relation to the Mad Bomber, because I actually didn't catch that. EDL almost getting frogged. Wow, that frog really followed EDL a long way. Getting frogged is when the frog just blocks you. It's really, really rare, but sometimes it can happen. I've never had it happen to me, but I haven't run this category as much as some others. But yeah. Alright, so Glan, the first to get the key. They take a pretty good... I think Glan had a smoother pass through the pothole field. Alright, so Dungeon 3 is a pretty cool dungeon, because you can lose big chunks of time to really, really small mistakes. It's not like huge chunks of time, but when trying to go for the best, run possible, you can lose upwards of like 5 seconds on like just one little part if you're not doing the best possible strat, or if you just make like a tiny little mistake. So it's really important to play consistently well for Dungeon 3. We'll see how this goes. This could actually turn the tides of the race. I could see EDL getting a pretty big lead if things go not so well for Glan here. But we'll see. It's all up in the air until it actually happens. So those doors with the pots, forgot to mention it during Cantaloupe, but those require you to throw a pot at the door. It does look a little bit like a monster face. Now EDL opted to go for the bombite kill second, which means EDL is actually a little bit ahead now. So as I was saying, just a tiny little mistake, tiny little difference in strats, and you can lose a bunch of time. This dungeon can be pretty luck-based sometimes with how the enemy rooms go. It's really dependent on what the enemies decide to do, and not so much what you decide to do. But it looks like Glan maybe had faster menuing or something, because Glan is in the lead again. But it's basically tied right now. They're both very, very close. So normally we always use bomb arrows. It's actually a little bit quicker, and it saves a menu to just throw a bomb at the wall there. So there are certain niche circumstances where we won't be using bomb arrows, we'll just be using regular ones. So this is the next area in Dungeon 3 where you can end up losing a bunch of time to enemy luck. Mostly this fight is pretty consistent if you are comfortable with how these little buggers work. But so we should be seeing relatively good fights from both the runners, but if both of them go into the corner like that, the main issue is that you can lose time just from them being all the way to the left. So you see how Glan, they both killed them basically at the same time, but because Glan got the kill all the way to the right, Glan is much farther ahead. So Glan's got boots. Boots are probably the best part of Glitchless. It's really, really fun to optimize the movement with the boots, because you get to go really fast. It's a lot of fun. So this dungeon is a little bit notorious for how many keys you need. Now EDL is going to equip bombers a little bit sooner and get a double kill there. That's really good. Not going to let EDL pull ahead, but it's going to be a little bit helpful. So that is actually a good benefit. EDL getting a pretty good room there as well. It looks like both of them got a really good top path here. So they're doing alright. But those are some of the rooms where you can get really unlucky too. So next up we've got the Stalfos room. They have to kill these two Stalfos. Stalfi. I don't know. I don't know what you call a group of Stalfos. But with two little jumps, you can pretty much always get the kill there really easily. It's not a big deal at all. But that's the room I was mostly talking about, where if you make like a tiny little mistake, or you charge too, like you jump too soon, or charge too slow or something, you can end up losing a big chunk of time, because the Stalfos are major trolls if you let them do their trolling. Alright, so they're gonna get the very last key. So they needed 4 keys for each of the key blocks before the boss. And this is their last one. This is another dungeon where we skip a ton of optional keys and just go for the best ones. There are like 3 optional keys, I think. And they're all in like the basement section. But yeah. So they're gonna progress to this room. both kill the piranha. I think you can walk through the piranha stem, but I don't really remember. EDL might get... okay. EDL went for the heart refill. I thought EDL was at 4.5. I think EDL might have just gone for the heart refill in case a Guardian Acorn dropped from that last Mimic. Or, not Mimic. I forget what those guys are called. But, yeah, Guardian Acorns are purely time loss. You don't get like a speed boost or a damage boost like the Piece of Power. You just feel bad. EDL almost getting super lucky, but actually getting unlucky. The best possible fight here, you kill both before any of them jump up. So you actually want the counterpart to wait for as long as possible, but it's really just RNG whether they do that or not. So EDL is actually just doing 5 heart. That's good. So EDL is ahead now, just because EDL chose not to grab that heart. I'm curious to know whether EDL chose not to grab that heart because it was down below, though. Maybe EDL just didn't want to get it because it would be super slow to get it. But yeah, so now EDL's ahead, because EDL is playing a little bit riskier than Glan. Glan usually gets 6, so we'll see how they do. But now they're gonna get to do a bunch of chores. They're gonna go hang out with Marin and get the ocarina. And it'll be a ton of fun. Because Marin is an awesome, awesome woman. And any Link would be lucky to have her. So yeah, first they're gonna head straight to Animal Village, which is gonna get them the warp point, which is useful. Save some time, and it allows them to activate the flag for Marin's date. Because they have to talk to the walrus to activate Marin's flag. So there are 2 ways to activate the flag. There might be more that I just don't know about. EDL missing the optimized strat there. You can go for a jump there, which is a little bit slower, or you can just take a tight path in between the water and the piranha. But if you get hit by the piranha, or if you fall in the water... I mean, if you get hit by the piranha, you'll usually fall into the water, and if you fall into the water, that's bad. And if you get hit by the piranha at all, that's also bad. Like, even if you don't fall in the water. But yeah, so they talk to the walrus. The other way to activate the Marin quest is by continuing the trade quest, but since we don't have to continue the trade quest, this is just the best way to do it. And I mean, that's the fastest way to activate the flag, even if you are doing the trade quest, but I mean, if you're doing the trade quest anyway, you don't have to activate the flag anymore. But I digress. They're gonna go get the ocarina now, which is important, because it allows us to learn numerous songs, 3 total, so I guess a few songs, that are important to our quest. The first song we're gonna learn is Marin's song. Or actually, that might be the second song. No, I think it's the first. But we learn Marin's song first. And Marin's song is pretty useful. It's very useful in 2 areas. One area is in Dungeon 6, where we use it to kill Pole's voice really fast. And the next area is in the end of the game, where we open the egg. Now, we're also going to be able to learn Frog Song of Soul, which is useful in 2 areas. Allows us to revive the rooster, which is essential. And it allows us to revive Turtle Rock, which is essential. Now, the middle song, I did mention we learned 3 songs. Marin and Frog Song are the first and third songs. Mambo's Mambo is the second song. And that song allows us to warp to any warp points we've activated from anywhere on the map. And it is very, very nice for saving time in Glitchless. It actually loses time in any percent now, due to recent reroutes and new tricks and stuff. Mambo's song's a little bit slower in any percent. By just like a tiny bit. So, Glitchless at least gets the luxury of still getting Mambo's Mambo. which is a very good song. But I mean, if you had to ask me, I would say Frog Song, the best song in the game. So I guess we'll go see. I'll let you guys decide. We can have a little vote when we go see Frog Song. But yeah, now they got Marin. It's cool to hang out with her for a little bit. She gives a little remix on the tracks in the game. And the music sounds really nice. But they're gonna head to the desert. The desert is a neat little area. It is somehow one of the most secure areas on the map. It's very hard to get into here without actually waking up the walrus. In fact, it's impossible to get in here without waking up the walrus. Theoretically, you could get in here by doing an Armos clip glitch. An Armos clip would allow you to get onto the wall by the side of the walrus. But I don't think anybody's created a setup or messed around with that yet. But yeah, so Marin wakes up the walrus for us, he does a little dance and then jumps into the ocean. After you get to Marin's song, you can come back here and get a seashell actually, but that's not useful for Glitchless. So we skip all seashells and heart pieces in Glitchless, because they're just time loss. But we're gonna go to Land Mola. We'll see if any of them can get the 1 cycle. EDL gets the 1 cycle. We'll see if Glan can get it too. Glan barely missing it. Glan's gotta get 2 more hits in. Oh, he's actually opting to save a bomb arrow there by just going for a regular spin slash. But EDL does save a big chunk of time here. Getting the 2 cycle is quite a bit slower than the 1 cycle. But yeah, you can pretty consistently get the 1 cycle. It's mostly a matter of risk-reward though, because when you're at low health, like Glan's at 3 hearts, which is enough to survive 1 hit, but you're going to be at 1 heart again. But the good thing is when you're at 1 heart, you get a bunch of heart drops. So now EDL is also at 3 hearts. So I mean, it really depends on just whether you feel, you know, brave enough to go for it or not. If you're going to have to take 2 bomb arrow hits to get it, it's usually not worth it unless you're at full health, but if you only have to take 1 hit to get it, it's pretty good to go for. It can just be a little bit scary. Alright, so that's a pretty good song. The Marin song is pretty nice. They get to have their little, what would you call that? Musical performance. So anyway, they're gonna head to Seashell Mansion. This is a little bit of an optimized route. We used to head to Dampe's shack and then just go around, but there's a little bit of a movement trick we can do where we jump from these stairs to the ladder. It saves like 1.5 seconds or so. Yeah, duet. That's what you'd call it. A duet. So it saves like 1.5 seconds over the normal route. It's a little bit harder. Glan got it. Okay. I was a little bit worried about Glan's stair positioning. I was worried about ball, but it's pretty lenient to get. It's not too hard at all. And, you know, not to brag or anything, but, you know, I did come up with that strat myself. So, in case you're wondering about my reliability as a narrator, I have run this category before. That's like my one thing I've contributed to the round, and that's about it. But yeah, they're going to continue on to Dungeon 4. Now, Dungeon 4 is going to be our first trick of the game. Well, I guess not, like, first, but our first, like, major trick. It's not a glitch, but it's a little bit of an abuse of the physics of the game. And the runners are going to... Oh, okay, Glan didn't go for a jump there. That was interesting. I think Glan must have specifically not gone for the jump. I don't know. I actually don't know whether Glen's like a jump got eaten by the void, or if Glen usually chooses to not jump there. Anyway, Dungeon 4, we do a bomb jump. Now the bomb jump is, again, you know, a little abuse on physics. Actually, EDL is a little bit low on health. 2.5 hearts is barely enough to get it. Glan is very low on health. Glan is going to need to get an extra heart here. I think Glan will just opt to pick up the 3 hearts, and EDL probably will as well, just to give an extra chance at getting the trick. That's another area where it's quicker to use a regular bomb instead of a bomb arrow. Use a bomb arrow there, though. Now, EDL is, I think, going to grab these. We'll see. Yeah, okay. So EDL grabs those, and Glan is definitely going to have to grab them. So now is time for Bomb Jump. Now, Bomb Jump is a pretty tight trick. It's not the hardest trick in the game. It might be the hardest trick in Glitchless. So you have to get a exact angle, make sure your positioning's good, and then you do 2 slashes, and boom, you're done. You jump down. It's pretty fluent, pretty easy. EDL got a tiny bit of a slow setup, but it was mostly good. And they both got it first try, great. So if one of them messed it up, that would have been really bad. Because 1, they would have been on lower health, and 2, they would have lost, you know, a bunch of time. When you mess it up once, it makes it a lot worse, because if you're messing it up again and again and again, EDL actually messed up the cue ball quick kill. Or, actually, it looks like EDL goes for a different strat here. I think it's a little bit slower, but that might be a little bit safer. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, that did seem a little bit slower from EDL because the cue ball has to move more distance overall, but that did look a lot easier to do than the regular quick kill. The regular quick kill, I would say, is pretty tight if you don't know, if you haven't, you know, worked on getting the muscle memory down pat. So it's probably good to go for an alternative strat in a race where you're at less of a risk of losing quite a bit of time. But now we're gonna get Mambo Song, and I'll let you guys listen. Alright, so they got Mambo's Mambo. Great song, but I would say Frog Song's better. So when we get to Frog Song, let me know your thoughts on whichever one you think is better. But yeah, so now they've got Mambo, which is going to save them quite a bit of time in the game. First warp they're going to do is down at Animal Village, and they will be, I think they'll be doing, I think they both do Dungeon 6 key now, right? Yeah, I mean, that's why they're going to Animal Village. That was a silly question. But yeah, so going to Animal Village, they are actually going to get the Dungeon 6 key. It's a little bit quicker to do it now, and I think with their kill routes, it's better. Sometimes if you get a bunch of extra kills, it's not better to do this first. But you really need a ton of extra kills to not do this first. So yeah, they're gonna go through Armos Maze, which is a pretty important location. EDL already has arrows equipped. Glan is gonna need to equip some arrows soon, because that is how you kill the Armos. The good thing about the Armos is that every time you kill them with an arrow, they drop an arrow. Actually, anytime you kill them at all, they drop an arrow, I'm pretty sure. So if you kill them with like a bomb, pretty sure you get an arrow. But I might be misremembering. So don't take my word for that exactly yet. Alright, so EDL is going to grab the backup 2 arrows, and so is Glan. And they get to do Armos Knight. Pretty easy fight. If you mess up, you can lose a chunk of time, but pretty easy. Pretty simple once you know how to do it. Glan actually doing a bit of an optimized strat. it's like 0.3 faster, I think, if you do a jump while you're shooting the arrow, or like a jump while you're falling from shooting the arrow, I think. So it allows you to get your second arrow out quicker. But now they're going to actually go to Dungeon 5. You'll notice that they actually dive a little bit early. It allows them to hit the little, like, dive warp point, I guess, quicker than if they were to try and time it. Alright, so EDL is the first into Dungeon 5. Now, it's very important what enemies they kill in this dungeon. I haven't been personally keeping track of their kills. That would be... I mean, if any commentator did that, let me know. I would be amazed at your memory and skill. But yeah, they're going to need to get a certain amount of extra kills in this dungeon, and they need to do that in order to get the piece of power for the final boss here, for the big boss, Blimey. EDL actually gets bit of a funny little thing there. Sometimes if Stalfos is in between the blocks, you can, the Stalfos will just pop up on top. Yeah, the skeleton was not crushed. Skeleton did not die, which is probably a good thing. I mean, if the skeleton died, that might mess with your kill count. But yeah, anyway, they're gonna kill a specific amount of enemies here. EDL, I'm a little bit confused by that strat. That must be like a strat that works sometimes, where you must be able to get like a spin slash and kill like 2 or 3 of them at the same time. But it looked like her spin slash kept getting interrupted. Anyway, this is Master Stalfos. You have to kill him 4 times before he dies for real. And the last time you kill him, you get the hookshot, which is useful. So, EDL's on to the second fight. Glan is entering the second fight. You'll notice that they actually place a bomb preemptively before the Stalfos is even rised. It's just a little bit of an optimization to kill it a little bit quicker. Normally you would slash him and then wait. But if you place it earlier, it saves a tiny bit of time. There's actually a bomb refill to the right in this long room that EDL is going through. But it's slower than the Dungeon 4 bomb refill to get, so... And we only need 1 bomb refill between Dungeon 3 and Dungeon 6, so... You just get the bomb refill from Dungeon 4, because it's quicker. Alright, so now, we're heading to the last Stalfos fight, where they'll be able to get the hookshot. There's a cool little glitch that unfortunately our runners can do, because this is glitchless, called Hookshot Rocket, where you blast on top, you stand on top of the hookshot, you place like a bomb, and then the hookshot gets launched up, and then you pick up the bomb as the hookshot's falling, and you get like picked up on top of the hookshot, and then you blast off on top of the walls in this dungeon, and then you just walk to the instrument and finish the dungeon. But since this is glitchless, you know, we just gotta worry about making our movement quick. So, they're just gonna kill the Stalfos and get the hookshot, and then continue on normally. So they actually got... Is the symbol on the floor of the dungeon map? It might be similar to the dungeon map. I forget what the dungeon map looks like in here. If the dungeon map is a skull, then probably. But yeah, that's the little symbols on the floor. Oh, unless you mean the little blue symbols. The blue symbols, I think, just represent which fight you're on. I don't think they exactly correlate to the location, because as you can see, EDL just passed through the first room, which is not the most top left. But yeah, each blue symbol, I was actually going to talk about that. Each blue symbol represents which fight you're on. 1, 2, 3, or 4. And you have to, so you'll see Glan took a bunch of hits from that, little star fellow. And that's because Glan really needed to not kill it in order for his kills to align. Glan actually got weirdly unlucky with the first set of bloopers. Usually you can kill them in one hit, but one of them hopped up a little bit early. So they've got the Nightmare Key, so now they can go to the boss. We're gonna hope their kills are properly aligned. I think they should be. They probably went for a little bit of a safer strat, I would assume, so they might not get it on the first star guy kill. But they should get it now. Okay, so EDL did get it. Cool. The advantage to... So, getting it on the later star guy kill just means you got fewer extra kills. Which is good, because if you get too many extra kills, obviously you'll get it before the room, which is not good. Glan messing up the skew shot, that is not what you want to see. Uh-oh. Oh, man. Okay. Glan lost a lot of time there. That is not good. I'm mostly freaking out because if Glan gets unlucky on this fight, his piece of power might run out before he kills Slimiel. Which is definitely not what you want to see, because you need the piece of power to get a 1 cycle on Slimiel. Alright, let's see. Okay, EDL getting good RNG right off the bat. EDL is going to be able to get a kill here. Alright, let's hope for the same luck with Glan. If Glan gets really unlucky, this could be a disaster. Let's hope for the best here. Okay. Okay, good. Glan had good timing there. Okay, this should last, I think. Okay, good. So, Glan got the kill. They both got 1 cycle. And they both got first pull hop through. So, that's good for them. Oh, Glan almost fell in the hole there. Alright. But yeah, they're both done with Dungeon 5 now. They both get to continue on. I think EDL might be ahead of her PB now. I'm not sure. EDL's been green on her splits, but I think she has like a video as well, and I think the video is of her PB, but I'm not sure. Anyway, doesn't matter. It's all about finishing the race and trying to do as best you can in the race. Don't gotta worry about a PB. But yeah, EDL saved a bunch of time. Well, Glan lost a bunch of time. Yeah, yeah, I know EDL compares against average. EDL's been like way ahead of average, but I think her like video on her splits is her PB, which she is pretty far ahead of right now. Well, I didn't know she was comparing against average. I just knew it was like something else. But thank you, Antonia. I was curious. EDL actually has Feather and Hookshot equipped already. I think that is one extra menu on accident, but I'm not sure. But yeah, now they're on Dungeon 6, which is probably, if I had to vote, this would be the best dungeon in Glitchless. It is very, very, it's very, very skill-based, but there's some luck in it, but mostly how you do is really, really dependent on how well you know the dungeon and, you know, just how well you're doing with the game right now. Like, for me, I'm really bad at games, so I always get bad splits here. But anyway, the dungeon is a lot of fun to just run through and do. And actually, Glan just did a small little optimization I didn't even know existed. He killed both of those top Zols in one hit. I did not know that was possible. That's really cool. I don't think EDL did that, so yeah. Alright. Okay, cool. So they both killed the Moldorm with their sword. You can kill the Moldorm with a bomb arrow as well, with the Wizard, but that it doesn't like save any time. And also, if the Wizard or if the Moldorm is in a bad position, then you just won't kill him, and you'll end up losing time. So it's mostly just better to kill with the sword. Glan is going to opt for getting that extra arrow there, just for a little bit of extra safety. And now they're heading to this room. This room is pretty tough. EDL is equipping her bombs and arrows early. Yeah, a little bit of a... I don't even know if that's a punish. I mean, that might just be like the same speed as keeping Hookshot equipped. So, probably fine. Wait, did the... I was not looking at Glan screen. Did the Anti-Fairy go right? I presume the Anti-Fairy went right. But if the Anti-Fairy went left and Glan just like has a setup for left now, that would be pretty neat. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff you have to do in Dungeon 6. Is it the longest dungeon? I think it is the longest dungeon. If we were to do Dungeon 7 compiled, I think this would still be the longest dungeon. EDL messing up the quick grab. Oh no! EDL shielded to not take extra damage, but accidentally gave the ball back to this guy. What's his name? Smasher. Alright, so Glan's able to catch up a little bit here. Good for Glan. Glan's all the way at the bottom of the door, too. Glan did let Smasher grab the ball first, but Glan, or I mean EDL, let Smasher grab the ball twice. Alright. So, continuing through Dungeon 6, but yeah, the cool thing about this dungeon is sort of how maze-like it is. There are a lot of times where we return to the beginning, just so we can go through the mini-boss warp, because the paths are so intertwined. Like, we're gonna pass through this tile room, but we're gonna have to come back here later to go to the final boss, because the final boss is south of here. And there are a ton of, like, 2D sections in this dungeon, and it's pretty awesome how crafted it is. How it is crafted. Alright. Both. Oh no! EDL messing up on the horse heads. Glan is actually ahead now. That is the crazy thing about Dungeon 6. Those horse heads lose more time than they should, and it makes me upset. Messing up with the horse heads loses a stupid amount of time, and the horse heads are stupidly precise, and I'm gonna rant about these guys for the rest of my life. Because when I was running Glitchless, they gave me hell. They really gave me hell. But yeah, there's like an exact position you can get that usually gets it every time, which I thought EDL did, but I guess it just didn't end up working out. Alright, so we have to do Dodongo Snakes again. These guys are much more luck-based than the Dungeon 3 ones, because it's much harder to maneuver around the field with all the holes. And it looks like EDL is actually getting a bit of a better fight because they're so close together, but... Oh no, okay. Okay. EDL finishing just a little bit later than Glan. Picking up the extra fairy and falling down the hole. Dang, that's unfortunate. So they got the Nightmare Key, and they're gonna auto-load yet again. And now they're gonna head to the boss room. Alright, so Glan is entering the boss room. You'll notice they actually use a hookshot on the wizard there. It's a little bit better. Alright, now Facade is pretty interesting. It's a pretty easy boss, but it's hard to do fast. So we'll see if they get the quickest cycle here. Alright. Yeah, great fight for Glan there. Looks like EDL is getting a pretty good fight here too. Yep, okay. They both got a really good fight there. Alright, so Glan had a pretty banger D6 there, which allowed him to save a bunch of time on EDL. Now they're gonna head to Sign Maze. Now Sign Maze is very important, and it's actually where we'll get to see our D3 300 rupees used. I think I forgot to mention why they grabbed that. But it's for Frog Song. Frog Song costs $300 because it's such a banger to listen to. Again, once they get to it, I'll stay a little bit quiet so you guys can hear it. So you guys can make a judgment on whether you prefer Mambo's Mambo or whether you prefer Frog Song. Now Glan's having a pretty good Sign Maze so far. Not getting trolled by any of the Zols. Seems pretty quick, to be honest. And EDL is also doing a pretty good job. Alright, they're going to be wrapping up shortly. Got 2 more signs left. Alright, so we get to see our awesome frog buddy here. And we get to listen to an amazing song. Alright, let's get it started. I'll stay quiet. Alright, I'm pretty sure it's Glan's audio, so... Yeah, I mean, what do you guys think? Do you think Frog Song's better than Mambo's Mambo? I definitely think Frog Song is better than Mambo's Mambo. I mean, that song just goes so hard. Absolutely beautiful. Amazingly orchestrated. Just... absolutely... It's just musical genius. You think Mambo's better? Oh man. EDL is actually saving a little bit of time here. Or maybe not. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure that is like 1 second faster to not Monbo there. You think that's Wart? That's not Wart. His name is... I think his name is Mamu or something. Or not Mamu. What is his name? I forget. It is Mamu. Yeah, it's Mamu. It's not Wart. Wart, you know, he looks kind of like Wart. I see the resemblance, but yeah, his name's Mamu. Yeah, Wart is a little bit different. Wart, I don't know if Wart jams out as hard. Witness protection program? Yeah, maybe. Maybe Wart escaped to Koholint Island because of all of his Mario Bros. 2 crimes. So he's in disguise. He's not in the witness protection program. He's just disguising himself from any cops who might be after him. Oh, and that time I think Glan jumped. So I think Glan going over the void that one time was actually not on purpose. But I'm not sure. Alright, so yeah, they do have to go through Telltale Mountains again. Telltale Heights. And they will be heading to get the Dungeon 7 key. So first we are going to go to Dungeon 7. Dungeon 7 is, you know, very important, but there's one little factor changing it. We actually are, we're actually not going to complete Dungeon 7 our first way through. Similar to Dungeon 4, after we get the key item in the dungeon, well, in Dungeon 7, after we finish the main section of the dungeon, where we knock down all the pillars and get the Nightmare Key, we'll just be leaving. We'll just be getting out of there. Yo, what's up, chums? That is a big chomper. Yeah, they'll just be popping out. So Dungeon 7's another dungeon they're gonna finish after Dungeon 8. So after Dungeon 8, which they do all of the way, they do Dungeon 7 and Dungeon 4. And the reason they do these dungeons later, never mentioned, is because they activate certain side quests. Dungeon 7 activates a cutscene on your way to Dungeon 8 if you finish it before Dungeon 8. And Dungeon 4 activates a little ghost guy. And you don't want the ghost guy because the ghost guy doesn't let you enter dungeons, which is really bad. So yeah, after you go past like a certain southern point on the map, the ghost guy will activate. Oh man, I would post a drywall, but yeah, I don't have I haven't donated enough bits. But yeah, I really hope you guys are all hyped for this finale. This is a really, really great finale. I'm glad these guys, I'm glad these two have gotten as far as they have. Which reminds me that, like, the challenge thing is... Oh wait, is it gonna work now? Let's see. Okay, cool. It is very close. You should have seen the beginning. In the beginning, it was even closer. They were separated by like 2 seconds for a majority of the run. This run might actually come down to blue balls if they keep this up. If they keep up their pace really, really, really well, then it might come down to Aghanim, which would be pretty nutty. So Dungeon 7 involves just breaking a bunch of pillars with this giant ball. It's pretty awesome. I think it's a really cool dungeon concept. I just think that this dungeon could have been built better. Like the entire first floor is like not utilized at all, and also it is just, you know, I think it could have been made in a way that's more interesting to play, you know, casually, and also for the speedrun. You know, they really could have been thinking about the speedrunners when they made this dungeon, but they chose not to, which I'm pretty disappointed about. Alright, so Glan enters the tile room. Pretty boring. So Glan actually opts to not equip the hookshot, and I think EDL is not going to do that either. So maybe hookshot is just worse. Oh yeah, so they actually just throw a bomb. That is actually really, really cool. Okay, I didn't even know that. That must be kind of new. Yo, we got an upvote. Let's go. So yeah, that must be a relatively new strat. Definitely something that got implemented after I got eliminated. Yeah, that's really, really neat. I think they have now both completed their third pillar. And now they'll be heading to the Nightmare Key and the fourth pillar. Pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. This is the Dungeon 7 mini-boss. It's really the hardest boss in the game. Each of the inputs on killing these flies is prime perfect, so if they get it first try, then it's going to be absolutely insane. Oh my god! Glan getting each kill first try, that's 6 frame perfect tricks in a row. Oh my god, EDL's going to get it too? Oh my god, that is insane. That is absolutely nutty. They actually just both got... I mean, that's really the absolute skill you'll see when you're watching the two greatest Link's Awakening glitchless runners of all time playing the game. That is crazy. They both got the D7 mini boss first try. Wow. Wow. I mean, these should be amazing runs. Alright, Glan actually getting the really rare troll by the 3 of the kind. It actually ended up working out okay. But yeah, the little guy just kind of ran into him. But, so, that's pretty interesting. Yeah, definitely I think it's FT? Yeah. Definitely a Tom Doll FT. That's a rare troll. Kind of an NFT. Kind of a Tom Doll NFT, if you ask me. Might have to save that one, purchase it, sell it on the market, or whatever you do with those. Alright, so they knocked down the last pillar, and they have the Nightmare Key, so they've fulfilled all of the conditions I've laid out for them, and now they're going to exit Dungeon 7, and they're going to continue on to Dungeon 8. Dungeon 8 is also pretty difficult. I think it's really up to the player whether you think Dungeon 6 or Dungeon 8 is harder. Both require a lot of skill. Both have a lot of pretty difficult tricks that you can implement, like the separate bomb arrow crafting, but they're not all I don't know. I would say that overall, I think Dungeon 6 is more difficult because you have to like play consistently well for a much longer time in Dungeon 6. Dungeon 8 is a lot quicker of a dungeon. It's like a minute quicker or something. I think it's only like 6 minutes, whereas Dungeon 6 is like 7. 7.5-ish. 7, like 20 on a good one. But yeah, so now that they have Mirror Shield, they can go through Flame Cave, which is the next little area they'll be going through. Now, Flame Cave may sound really, like, awesome and cool and totally, you know, like, radical, but, I mean, they're about to enter it now. Glan's blowing up the door. This is Flame Cave. This is the amazing Flame Cave. It is a hallway with a flamethrower. And that is it. You know, it's pretty cool in its own right, but, you know, I wish they, you know, utilized it a little bit more, made it a little bit more radical, a little bit more mathematical. But that's all okay. So they're actually taking two different positions. Glan is one tile more to the left. We'll see how this ends up working out for the both of them. Yeah, more cool, less hot. Definitely true. Alright, so we'll see what fights they get. This fight can be a little bit silly if you get unlucky. Alright, sorry about that. I'm back. So now we're in Dungeon 8. Dungeon 8 is pretty cool. It has a lot of these tile puzzles where you're just sort of paving the floor. Yo, Zach also popping in with the big chomper. Make Flame Cave reticle again. Mega Chomp, yeah. Alright, so Dungeon 8, one of the is there are a bunch of mini-bosses. So it has its own unique mini-boss, and then it also has a bunch of mini-bosses from the dungeons we've already tackled. So we get to see a little bit of a revisit of some of our good friends. Not all of them, because we skipped some of the rooms in here just through good routing and use of the keys, but... Ooh, Glan missing one of the arrows. That's okay, though. Still doing decent on his arrow count. EDL hit it. Glan not opting to grab the extra hearts there. EDL doesn't need them. But yeah, they get 20 arrows here. Take a specific path in this room in order to get a damage boost, so that you can open the chest sooner. Gets you a little bit of a push cancel. Well, it does get you a push cancel. It's not a little bit of a push cancel, it just is a push cancel. Now, Glan is on 1 heart, which is scary for Bueno. I think he killed that snake on purpose to try and gimp out another heart. Oh, messed up the skew shot. Messed up again. That's not good. Alright. Oh, no. That is really bad for Glan. Okay. Mere seconds has now turned into many seconds. That is probably one of the worst places to die in Dungeon 8. Oh, that's really unfortunate. It was unlucky, too, because Glan didn't get an extra heart from the little snake. So Glan has to go all the way and hit the switch. Oh, man. I don't know if that jump's possible anymore. Just gonna have to make the path. That is really disappointing. Alright, we'll see if Glan can pull this back. EDL is probably gonna have to make a mistake or die somewhere as well. But yeah, that's really unfortunate for Glan. Losing, I think, over a minute here. It's actually probably one of the worst places to die in the game, honestly. Like, in the run. Dying there is probably really bad. I think just I think Glan was just trying to save a little bit too much time, because you do have the 3 heart backup there. I mean, I don't know. I feel like he was okay on hearts, so I'm not sure, to be honest, what happened overall. We'll talk about it when the post-race interview happens, but Glan's still got to give it his best effort, because anything can happen. Oh wow, that is a good combination. Fish moly and the reindeer. Alright, EDL, going for the quick kill here, and getting it. Yep. That is the second cue ball fight. Pretty quick. The EDL is almost done with the dungeon. EDL is about to get the nightmare key. EDL is doing a little bit of a different path than most. Alright. So now they're going to be able to head to the boss. Well, EDL will head to the boss. Glan still has to do a little bit more before he's ready. That was cool. I think they both got the transition at the same time for going into the respective 2D sections. Alright. So EDL will be finishing up here shortly. Doing Hothead. Hothead is pretty easy for the most part, but can cause some issues if you get kind of unlucky. That is an awesome combo, Rini. Alright. Oh! EDL just barely missing the 1 cycle there. Alright. At least 1 cycle in the second phase. So EDL has finished Dungeon 8. Glan is now heading to the boss as well. It honestly looks like EDL is going to get a 139 here. As long as nothing happens to EDL, this might be a 139, which is an absolutely insane run. And Glan was also on pace for it, but that death really hurt. So yeah, now EDL is going to go over and finish up Dungeon 7. Oh, whoa, that's actually really cool. I think EDL did an upright input there from that position, which allowed her to automatically get all the way up to that point. Normally, if you don't do the upright there, you have to hold just all the way right. It's a little bit slower. So Glan actually getting a little bit of a better fight on that first phase. Wow, yeah. So Glan had a much better hot hit. That death on Bueno really hurt. So Glan lost about a minute and 23 seconds there. Yeah, Glan catching up. Glan doing what he can. And that's what we gotta hope for. We gotta hope that Glan gives it his best effort, gives it his all. Because anything can happen. You know, EDL could have something terrible happen to her as well. Alright. Wow, yeah, actually EDL has a ton of arrows for this fight. Which is really, really good. Wow, that was an amazing eagle fight. That was great. That was super, super good. I wonder if this will gold. Maybe not. Yeah, not a gold. But that was pretty nice. EDL still has 18 arrows, which is a lot. So the reason they didn't finish D7 on the first time around is because if you go to Dungeon 8 without D7 finished, you get an additional, like, minute or so long cutscene with Marin. Where Marin's, like, stuck on the bridge somehow, and Terran's gotta help her. Or, well, Terran doesn't help her, but Terran comes pick her up after you help her with the hookshot. Yeah, that's awesome, Tarthur. Gotta get some trout. Alright, Glan also finishing up Dungeon 7, as EDL is currently starting the motions of Dungeon 4. And similarly with Dungeon 4, they don't finish Dungeon 4 the first time around, because they've gotta not spawn the ghost. The ghost makes you do a minute's worth of an additional side quest. Oh no! EDL jumped a little bit too early. If you jump too early, you can fail to get your little spot recognized. Alright, so EDL does a little bomb air there, and does the swag jump, nice. That's actually a little bit quicker, I think, because you avoid those holes. So EDL had a pretty good D4. D4 is mostly, your second D4 time is mostly influenced by the boss fight. So we'll see if EDL gets the fight. This fight's pretty consistent, as long as you get your double spin slashes in. Okay, good so far. Ooh, getting a bonk. Fine though, as long as you get the kill here. Yep, great. So good fight for EDL. EDL will now be heading to the final boss. And at full hearts too, which is very nice as well. Glan's at 4 hearts. I think Glan will probably opt to not grab the heart container. The Dungeon 4 heart container is really slow. Oh, a little bit of a miss menu. It's okay. Also doing the swag jump. Alright. So EDL heads to the egg. See how Glan's fight goes. Seems pretty good. He actually gets a fish spawn. Ooh, a little bit of a mess up. No double spin slash on one of those, yeah. Alright. Not super slow, but not the fastest possible fight. Alright, and now EDL's heads up to the egg, equips powder, equips the Marin song, and we get to jam out. Audio is still on Glan, so I guess I'll keep talking. Glan is now also heading to the egg. The rest of the run's pretty straightforward. I guess I can talk about the Ganon quick kill a bit preemptively. The Ganon quick kill is the next toughest trick of the run. right before the end. You do a damage boost, and you kill him with your dash attacks. But besides that, you pretty much just do each boss as vanilla. There's like a Molar and quick kill, but that's really easy. There are a couple of unique strats. Actually, because EDL has so many arrows, I wonder if she'll end up going for the triple arrows on Death Eye. That is a strat you can do. It saves a little bit of time. It saves one cycle. Because instead of 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, you do 3, 6, 9, 10. So instead of 5 cycles, you do 4 cycles. In fact, you could just do 3, 6, and then 8, 10. Yeah, pretty interesting sequence of numbers. Alright, so EDL is going to follow her RNG manipulated egg path, which is right, up, left, up, 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 up. Glan is also using this seed. It is the current fastest known seed. So excuse me, nice voice crack. Most runners are using it. Alright, so EDL is starting the Nightmare Fight. First off, we've got the little Zol phase, which is pretty easy. Low risk of dying, but it's certainly possible. And dying here is really bad. It also loses a lot of time. It might lose, depending on which phase you die on, it could lose more time than the Bueno death. So if EDL does take a death here, we could see a W from Glan. But with how much EDL has played this game, I think a death is unlikely. EDL is very, very experienced in this boss. And so is Glan. Once you have like a hang of the boss, it's pretty rare to die, but mistakes happen. Alright, 1 blue ball for EDL. So you have a 50-50 to get an orange ball or a blue ball. Aghanim can only do 3 in a row, so because there were 3 blue balls there, EDL is guaranteed an orange ball here. And Aghanim takes 4 hits to kill. So that's 4 blue balls for EDL, which is dipping into the unlikely territory. Alright, so yeah, 4 blue balls is pretty unlucky. You have like a 75% chance to get within 3 blue balls. It's like 25% for 1, and then like 22% for 2, and then like 24% for 3 or something. It's a little bit interesting. Alright, so that was a perfect quick kill from EDL. Only 1 heart of damage taken. So chance of death has just gone down even more. Alright, so it looks like this will be a 139 from EDL. This was an amazing race to watch. It was super, super close. I mean, Glan was ahead until 1908. And, okay, so it does look like EDL is going for the triples here. Take a little bit of time. It looks like she gave up on the triples after missing the first one. But unlucky with the eye. Oh, there's a triple. Okay, she gets 1 more. Ah, missed it. Alright, so that is a 139. Very big GG's to EDL. That is an insane time for a race. And congrats to EDL, the winner of the tournament. That was amazing. I am super, super happy with how this went. Thank you all for participating. Thank you guys for watching. World record is 138.42. So 139.29 is only like 47 seconds off. That's really, really good for a race. And that was actually only 22 seconds off EDL's PB. There were a couple segments where EDL was ahead of her PB, I noticed. But yeah. That was pretty insane. That was amazing to watch. Both of these runners are absolutely amazing. And I'm really, it was really, really cool to see how they improved as the tournament went on, and to see all these new strats develop and stuff. I think EDL just joined now.
Right.
Hello, EDL. Congratulations on your tournament win. That's amazing.
1 sec.
Okay.
Hello?
Hello.
Oh yeah, I can hear you now. Good.
All right, great. Congratulations on your tournament win. That was amazing. And ending it off with such a bang too. 139.29. That's great.
Yeah, I was on PB pace at some points, but
Yeah, I noticed that. I noticed that you were
was
ahead of
like-
your PB video.
yeah, I did that today as well. The run before this one.
Yeah.
I was a little freaking out.
Yeah, I really don't have much to mention at all about your run. I mean, there weren't really many major mistakes that I could think of. Maybe you saw them more than me because you were probably paying more attention, but I mean, that was a really, really solid run.
I mean, I know there is.
Yeah,
It doesn't come
somewhere.
mind right now.
Somewhere there probably was a couple things, but I mean, there were really no major mistakes at all. 4 blue balls at the end, which is a little unlucky, but not too bad. Not as bad as it could have been.
Oh yeah, I shielded the ball from
right. Yeah,
from
in D6.
Smasher, and he grabbed it again.
Yeah, you knocked it right into him. All right, Glan has joined as well. Glan, congratulations on your run. I'm really sorry about Dungeon 8.
Yeah, thank you. That was really frustrating.
Yeah, I'm really happy that you kept going. I mean, you kept playing super solid after that. That was,
Yeah,
I
aside
imagine that
from
must have been
Angler,
fun.
but yeah.
Yeah, Angler was a little bit silly, but yeah, I mean, 140.40 is still a pretty good, darn good race time.
Yeah,
You guys,
I
ended off
lost
the
a
tournament
minute
well.
35 from dying to Bueno.
Looking at the times,
Yeah.
it looks like it was again another insane race.
Yeah, Glenn was ahead of you, and you guys were like tied for a bunch of it, and then Glenn got behind in D3, picking up the extra heart container. But then Glenn was ahead for a while in D6 after D6, and it was really, really unique. It was a lot of fun to watch and commentate, and I'm glad I was able to. I'm really happy for you guys. It was, I mean, you guys have improved so much, and it's cool to see.
Yeah, I'm happy, and actually the 2 runs I did today that are sub 140 actually are screaming. Actually, I can PB again.
Yeah,
they're just like they're saying it very loudly. So I'm
yeah. You'll be the next.
I don't know what the word is. I don't know, but I have a positive outlook.
Yeah, optimistic.
Yeah, thank you.
No problem. But yeah, I mean, for both of you, I mean, Glenn, it was really the one mistake that changed it. Like, you played super amazing for everything else. It's just
my late
having
game was
the
pretty
one mistake.
cracked. Besides
I
that,
would say, if based on the previous race and based on what I know watching Glenn play, I would say that this matchup was pretty much just like, if someone makes a big mistake, then that's it.
Yeah,
or at least the other one needs to also do a big mistake, because otherwise it's just there. That's the
I was
that's
me
the
both.
decider.
That's what I was thinking about the whole time watching the race. I was like, if one of these people just makes any mistake at all, it'll just completely turn the tide. You guys were playing just so solid the whole way through.
Yeah, like I almost can't even say what happened was a mistake. Like, I just had to have such a specific sequence of garbage thrown at me to die to Bueno there.
Yeah. Well, I noticed you didn't pick up the like 3 hearts, but I mean, at the hearts you were at before that point, I mean,
Yeah, I was
pretty
at
much
like
mean them.
3.5, and then
Yeah, I think you were actually at 4.5.
I took damage like twice to the Vire, and then I got the double beam from the Beamos, and then
Yeah,
I tried
I
to get a
also
heart
got the
drop, and
double
it didn't
beam.
drop one.
yeah.
I shielded the double beam because I was like, nah, I'm not taking the extra
I
damage.
tried
but
to, it didn't
You
work.
tried to get an extra heart, but it just didn't drop from the little snake guy. I noticed
Yeah.
that. I was like, oh. Yeah, so that was really unlucky.
Mm-hmm.
Well, GG for sure.
Yeah,
Because
GG.
that seems like it was a fantastic race. So absolutely well deserved GGs.
Yeah,
Mhm.
very big
Yeah,
GG's.
I
congrats
had-
on winning the tournament.
Thank you. I would like to thank everyone actually for organizing the tournament. I had a lot of fun during the tournament, not just because I won, but like just like I got my dream matchup. I got to race Glan 3 times.
Yeah,
Plus a bunch of other people that I found it interesting to watch race each other, and I'm really glad that we got to show it off on ZSR. That was also cool. Cool
Yeah.
feelings.
Shoutouts to M Chen for helping me out and picking up some of the organizer duties as well. That was very nice of him. And yeah, thank you to the ZSR team for letting us restream our tournament on your guys' channels. It was a lot of fun. It's a really great time, and hopefully we'll get to do it again next year.
Yeah, it'd be
Oh
cool.
yeah, we'll see what we do next year.
Yeah, we'll see what category actually comes up next year.
90% gets cut in half, so
Yeah,
30 seconds, no, 30 minutes race. No, we do four-way races because
Yeah.
we can. I don't know. We shall see the future.
yeah. When it happens, it'll happen. Hondo tournament would be amazing, but you know, I'm totally not
Hunter
biased.
tournament is so freaking exhausting. I
Yeah.
just 100 run and I'm dead for a week or something. Like,
All right. But yeah, I think we're pretty much done here. Unless you guys have any extra comments you want to add in.
no, I'm really happy with everything. No, I'm good. I said thanks to everyone, including the racers. I don't know if I mentioned everybody that participated, because
Yeah.
that's what made the tournament really cool. I really enjoyed seeing new strands came up for Glitchless, which I stagnated quite a bit for a long
Yeah,
time.
that was actually
That
one
was
thing I wanted to mention was you guys did a ton of new stuff. Like after I got eliminated, I had stopped watching for a little bit, and it was like I came back and for this race, and it was like so many things had changed. I noticed in Dungeon 6, Glenn, you were able to kill the 2 Zols in 1 slash. I don't know if that's new, but that's the first time I'd seen that.
Like in the Running Man room?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's not a very new thing as far as
I don't know. I feel like I haven't seen that before, but there were a bunch of other stuff too. There was a bunch of other stuff, so it was really cool to see. A lot of stuff changed. I think Facade was a little bit different, but I might be wrong.
I've started being able to kill Facade, and there's still floor tiles that are on the floor
Yeah,
when he dies. I've never been able to do that before.
Yeah, I worked on a new strat for Facade like a little while ago. So that's what I've been doing.
All right. Well, I should get going. I don't want
yeah,
to
me as well.
just ditch everything, but
Hey, it's no problem. Thanks everyone for stopping by to these. It was a really fun grand finale for me to watch, and I'm sure everyone in chat was having a load of fun as well. So thanks everyone again for stopping by, and we're going to be rating ZSR2, and they're doing an Ocarina of Time randomizer. It's, I think, round 5 of the qualifiers. So thanks everyone again, and we'll see you soon.